Yes, sir. Raj Bundles, Lions post-game analysis. So Lions lose today, Christmas Day game, 23-10 to the Minnesota Vikings. A game they were favored in. A game I expected them to win. I thought they were going to win this game. Minnesota came to Ford Field earlier in the season and beat the Lions in the game that the Lions were favored in that game as well. And so the Lions lose 23-10 today. And this game was just bad. This game was completely bad. Six turnovers to Minnesota's 0. If you have 6 turnovers in a game in the NFL, there's a 99.9% chance you're not going to win that game. Honestly, if they were playing a better team, a team with a more formidable quarterback, this game probably would have been the final score probably would have been a lot worse than what it was. The offensive line played terrible. No Taylor Decker this game. He was banged up. On a short week, guys that are banged up probably aren't going to play. The offensive line played terrible. Offensive line was bad. Taylor Decker didn't play. I know St. Brown was questionable going into this game with the knee. He ended up playing. But the turnovers and the bad offensive line play lost them this game, in my opinion, because the Vikings offense didn't do much at all. Like the Lions defense played well. Max Brosmer, the rookie, 9 of 16, 51 passing yards. And he had 2 carries for 16 yards. Like Minnesota's offense didn't light it up at all. Justin Jefferson definitely didn't go off. 4 receptions, 30 yards. TJ Hockenson didn't play. Jordan Mason was out this game as well. So I felt the Lions defense played very, they were formidable in this game, but the offense was just no rhythm, not in sync. And, like I said, the offensive line was not blocking at all for Goff. I know a lot of people get mad at Goff and say, hey, he's not mobile. He can't run anywhere. They try to blame a lot of it on him, which a lot of it is his fault. He's not that athletic. But regardless of what, you won 15 games with the guy last year. You went 15-2 with him last year, and you got the number 1 seed. So to blame it all on Goff, I'm not going to sit here and do that. If you want Goff to be the best version of himself, you got to put the tools in place for him to succeed. The offensive line took a huge step back this year. You had one of the better offensive lines in the league last year, and this year it's been anything but. I got to blame a lot of this game on coaching as well. The Minnesota game that the Lions lost at Ford Field earlier this season, Brian Flores called a hell of a game. Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. That defensive line, that front seven, they wrecked that game. They had a bunch of sacks on Goff that game. I don't know the exact number, but they wrecked that game and had a bunch of sacks on them. You turn around, you play the same exact team again, and you have the same exact problem. All these sacks, you let these guys come wreck the game again. How did you not learn from the film from the previous game? That's one of the main reasons why you lost against Minnesota the first time. And then you turn around and you have the same exact mistakes. You let their front seven or D line wreck the game again. I get it. Decker was out. I think Sewell got hurt at one point in that game too. I believe he came back, but that's on coaching. I got to blame that on coaching because you let the same exact thing happen the last game, and you let it happen again this game. So yeah, Jared Goff, 18-29, 197 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. QBR of 28.2. I don't know what was going on with the camaraderie with him in the center. That play earlier in the game, he hiked the ball to Goff too quick. He lost the ball. He had the shotgun play where he hiked the ball, a yard away from him. Goff couldn't recover it. This was just an all the way around bad game for the Lions. Terrible game. And, this is a nationally televised Christmas game. And y'all went out there and wet the bed. Y'all looked terrible. They looked awful. A game you were favored to win. A game we expected y'all to win. You're going against a rookie quarterback. Vikings had a bunch of people out. Jordan Mason, TJ Hockenson. Like this is a game you should have won, and they didn't do it. 3-game losing streak. You lose to the Rams. You lost to the Steelers last week. and then you lost to the Vikings today. So their next game in Chicago, you're already eliminated. You got eliminated today from the playoffs with this loss to Minnesota. So next week's game, not this Sunday, the following Sunday in Chicago, I'm not playing the starters. I'm not playing, not all of them, but Goff, St. Brown, and Decker, I'm not playing. St. Brown got hurt at the end of this game. He was already questionable coming into this game with a knee injury. And then in garbage time, it's under a minute left in the game. You're already down 13 points at that point. And St. Brown hurts the knee that he was questionable for coming into the game. He bangs the knee up and gets hurt when the game is already over. So at this point, I wouldn't play St. Brown that last game of the season. You're already eliminated. You're not making the playoffs. You're already on a 3-game losing streak. I mean, what are you going to try to go out to Chicago and get a moral victory? At this point, it's irrelevant. If you wanted to win the game, you should have won the games you were supposed to win to keep you in the playoff hunt. LA, Pittsburgh, this game against Minnesota. I don't want to hear anything about any moral victory in that last game in Chicago. St. Brown needs to sit. Decker needs to sit. He's been banged up all season. He doesn't need to play. And I would sit Goff. You know, I'm pretty sure when they asked Campbell about it, he's going to be arrogant and cocky and, oh, no, we're playing. The starters are going to play. But that's stupid at this point. Season's over with. Don't go try to win that game in Chicago. At this point, you need to just lose and, you know, try to help your seeding in the draft. That's how I feel. Going to Chicago and getting a moral victory at this point is irrelevant to me. But, you know, the season was a disappointment. Complete disappointment. So the Lions, they're not that far out of it, though. If they have a strong free agency and a strong draft, they will be right back in the mix next season. So lose that game in Chicago Sunday, you know, so you could help your sitting in the draft. And, you know, in the offseason, you got to build that offensive line back up. You got to get the offensive line built back up. If you want Goff to be the best version of itself, if you want this offense to be the best version of itself, you got to have better O-line play. You know, I don't know what's going on with Ragnow. I know he unretired. I don't know if he's coming back next season or not, but you got to prove the offensive line. You need another DN on the other side of Hutch. I do like Al-Quadin Muhammad. Keep him in rotation. Move on from Davenport. The Davenport experiment needs to be over with. And also, I don't need Dan Campbell calling the plays. You know, I feel as though him relieving John Morton of his offensive duties, play calling duties in the middle of the season like that, I feel like that didn't help the team either. I don't want to see Dan Campbell calling the plays next year. I just need him to manage the games. That's it. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Let me know where you're at with it in the comments. Lions lose today, 23-10 to the Minnesota Vikings. They're officially eliminated from the playoffs. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Peace.